Well, I'm sure you recognise that song. One of the biggest hits, certainly from 1986. A #1 song in America and a big worldwide hit. And I actually had the songwriter in the studio with me, Mr. Nick Eede. Good afternoon, Nick.
Hello, Andy. Hello, Hastings Rock.
Good to see you. Yeah, you're now a local resident, aren't you?
Well, I'm a breeder.
You're
You have to work that one out.
Yeah, fair enough. But that song, everyone knows it. We were talking about it in the studio, and people say, "Oh, I don't know your name," or maybe not even the name of the band. But that song always comes up. And you're just saying you've been doing an interview about that song for a magazine. But that was quite not a one-hit wonder, but an instant hit. And a huge hit. Now, how is that to sort of go straight into something like that as like the first big hit of your career?
Yeah. Everybody thinks that you've been waiting, doing nothing until you have your first hit. You know, and I was 28 when that was a hit. So you actually have been doing tons before. So the overnight success thing is nonsense. And also, you probably would think that you're well prepared for it, but it was so big, so quickly. Even the fact that in England we sold more albums in Norway than we did in England because we released the single in England first before the album. So it sold, three-quarters of a million singles, but we didn't ever sell any albums here. Everywhere else in the world we did. It just went so big. I don't remember. If you ask me questions more about the band I was in before or my teenage band, I'd be able to give you more details.
We'll come to that. I just wondered, it was obviously like a dream come true.
But it was. My point is, it was like it was just crazy. So many things so quickly.
But a great experience that you've never changed, no doubt.
Never change it. No, we conquered the world in about a year. Really, we cleaned up and. Yeah.
And you're still doing it now, aren't you? I know, but playing that song around.
That song's interesting. You made a point just as we started there. I think one of the reasons why Cutting Crew Died in Your Arms has lasted so long, not only because it's guitar based. How's that better? Yeah, I was a bit off mic there. Sorry, folks. Guitar based, so it doesn't date so quickly as some of the keyboard songs.
Yeah, definitely.
But also, we were quite an invisible band, really. Everybody knows I Just Died in Your Arms, and the point you made is not everybody remembers the name Cutting Crew or my name for anything, and that gives you a kind of invisible mystique. You know, do you remember the Foreigner song? I want to know what love is. Yeah. One of my favourite songs ever. As soon as I saw the video, I hated it. It just killed it for me. So it's sometimes nice to just have a song that's out there in the ether, and people can put their own images and own attachments to it. So I think actually it was almost in our favour that we were a bit low key.
But I mean, going back to the early days, we met before and sort of chatted about you're a classic rock man, aren't you? That's your sort of influences. What are the sort of bands that you were in or interested in listening to back in the early days?
Zeppelin, obviously, Genesis, yes, even Van de Graaff, Generator.
Really? Proggy stuff.
In my dark. Almost goth days. I actually shaved my head like Gabriel.
Really?
Yeah, I went up to the bathroom one night, came down and I shaved right back in the middle, about 3 inches, sat down next to Mum and she went, "What the bloody hell have you done now?" And I said, it's going to be all right. I went to school the next day and I remember everybody going, that's cool.
I think your street cred amongst the Hastings Rock listeners has just gone up a few pegs.
Have I?
We've got some proggy. So, I mean, all those bands, I mean, you were in lots of early bands, I mean, in the sort of Sussex, Surrey areas, what sort of areas? Because we've got a photograph of you that someone posted onto Facebook in a band where they called it
Twice Bitten.
Twice Bitten, that's right. And we put it up, we'll bump it up again so people can see it. And you were 15, I believe, at the time, and you remember that. And where was that? Because that wasn't that million miles away from here.
No, I grew up in Nutley, on the Ashdown Forest up near Uckfield. That picture was in the lounge at Mum's house. We used to rehearse in the lounge. A three-piece rock band, really thrashing it. You know, Vox AC30s.
Oh, Vox AC30s.
And my granddad would sit in the middle reading the newspaper, and I swear he'd fall asleep. He would fall asleep in the middle of our band practices. But yeah, we were never proggy, but we were definitely rock. And that's one of the things about Cutting Crew. It really was a kind of a big crossroads. I wrote Died in Your Arms, I wrote I've Been in Love Before, those big hits.
Yeah.
Not even knowing what I was doing, they just got written. Up until that second, I was a new wave rocker. And then suddenly I did that, and of course you're not going to say, well, no, I don't really want that.
No, that's right, yeah. So, no, it's good, because I mean, you used to play in bands, and your previous band, who some members, people might have heard of, a band called The Drivers, that were quite popular, certainly over here, but in Canada, and I know that's how Cutting Crew got together and all that. Yep. But I mean, you used to play in venues quite all around this sort of area, didn't you?
All around, Tunbridge, Sevenoaks, Hastings occasionally, we played the Pier even.
Really? Oh, right.
Yeah, we were good, really good three-piece band, bit sort of Policey, Squeeze, XTC.
I know my wife used to saw you quite a few times. I never did myself, but there you go.
But we're still we're still rock and rolling.
Okay, so that brings us right up to the present day. I mean, I've got an album here which I played a couple of tracks off called Grinning Souls. That is the latest Cutting Crew album. So, I mean, but that is a few years old now, isn't it, I believe?
That's 4 years old now, I believe, yeah.
So anything new, any touring or anything like
that? We've toured that out. We've done 4 years of touring with that. Got a really great band. Did America, did all over Europe, Canada, Barbados even.
Right, oh yeah.
But new album coming out, quite different, the new album. It'll be rocky, but I'm going to have brass on it for the first time ever. Okay. And girls. I think having girls on an album is a good idea. Is it showing my age? But we've never had brass. My driver is nodding.
Fulfilling all your dreams now.
But a lot of brass, a lot of sort of Van Morrison sort of stuff in there.
Okay, all right. So
and it's going to be called Ransomed, Healed, Restored, Forgiven.
Oh, good.
How religious are you? Do you know your hymns?
No.
Praise my soul.
We don't play many on here, funny enough.
Rock on.
Right, so last thing, so I'm going to play a track from that album in a minute, but I play a lot of young bands and local bands on here. It's one of the things that we do on Hastings Rock and pride ourselves on. You've seen both sides. You've seen sort of the older days, if you want to put it that way, grown up in that, and now you're living in the digital age. I mean, there's a great change. I mean, maybe what have you noticed, but what advice would you give to any bands that are starting out now or are around now listening to this? What can they do to make themselves heard?
Well, first of all, the change bit. I thought about this because it's a question I like a lot, and I think it's a little sad that you don't have that thing that used to happen in the old days where you'd make a tape, folks, a tape, and literally go up to London and sit there while some fat man would play it, and then take a phone call in the middle of it and break your heart. But you could get signed like that, or he'd then say, "Oh, come and see what the King said," and that excitement of all that. I know that's still happening a little bit, but it's not really as much. The new way is to release your own stuff, get it on the internet, have your own website and all that. So I think there's a little bit of that fantastic, sexy discovery thing that isn't there like the old days, where you really could just go, "My God, we just got," on the phone from London, "We just got signed." But at the same time, the opportunities now for a young band are immense, which we never had. To have put it out on the website, and I really think that's the way to do it. It's to get clever as clever as you can with your website and the internet. Try and make a video which you can just attach and link to everybody else's site.
Social networking.
Absolutely, it has to be the way. And just get lucky. Then you will get the guy come down, and you'll go through that. But I do remember many times that getting in the car, breaking down, trying to meet some bloke in a radio, record company, and it was just awful. I remember when we sat there, and he said, "I'm sorry, guys, I had to change my lunch appointment. Another time, eh?" And that was it. And we'd driven all the way up from Nutley, and your heart's in your mouth.
Ambition. But I mean, I suppose the secret is to write a good song. Ultimately, it has to be a good song, doesn't it?
That would be the ultimate thing for the boys. If you want to be paid money for the rest of your life, there's only one way, and that's be the writer.
Well, we're just giving you a few more pennies.
A couple of pennies.
I'll give you some more in a minute.
Every time you record a record, every penny that you spend on recording it and on the videos will be put against your royalties. And so I can name you 100 bands who've had really nice success who've never earned a record royalty because of that. Because it just costs a lot, or it used to in the 80s. My God, we made 3 videos in Australia.
I remember,
Australia!
All the way to Australia for a video,
and it was shot in a warehouse.
And you probably thought, that's great. And now, this is wonderful, like jet set lifestyle, and forget you've got to pay for it in the end.
Then you see the bill. But if you are the writer, I'm not suggesting for one moment that's the reason, but remember that, for all reasons, right, and just be honest to your skills. If you're not the greatest singer and you're the best guitarist, always, you can't be brilliant at everything. And in this business, you have to be brilliant at one thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, do you want to give a plug to your website? Anything you want to say?
It's cuttingcrew.biz. It's very out of date at the moment because we're doing the new album, but that's where you'll see all the links to the gigs and the photographs and hear all the songs. I've really enjoyed coming down because we will be playing live in the area, I would imagine September, with the new album.
Excellent. Well,
going to pick up some local.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for having a little chat with us here and playing some of his music. So, back, it's 2:02 here, Hastings Rock 87.7, and this is a track off of Nick's album. As he said, this is Cutting Crew, Grinning Souls, and when it starts, it will be Hard on You.